everyone. Welcome back to this podcast of Get It. I'm your host, Anna. We're back after being gone for about 2 weeks. Things got a little busy these last few weeks, but we're back now with a really special episode today. As you can see, I have another guest on this episode for today, and I'm going to go ahead and let him introduce himself and tell you who he is and what's his name as well.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Esteban Vargas. I am, shit. Just not the...
It's all good.
All right. I work for our local school district here. Been a volunteer for community for over, I don't know how many years now. Involved with Greenfield Little League, involved with Greenfield Lions, and also at one point was coaching high school football, and high school baseball as well.
Yeah, you keep yourself busy, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's always out and about too, very involved in the community, and also his siblings are very involved as well. Do you want to tell them how we met and how long we've known each other for?
We met due to my older brother. They were working together for, once again, our local school district here. They were doing testing at that time, and they got to know each other first, and then we got introduced as we came in about to, I think it was a bowling.
Oh, the bowling alley?
Bowling alley, yeah. We went bowling at one time. So we got to meet each other then and connected really well. I mean, our age is pretty much...
Pretty close.
Yeah, pretty close within age, and then like our lifestyle and our background is pretty much the same. So like we really got... we really linked up really well to the point where we were just like constantly knowing each other and been hanging out with each other as much as we can whenever we have the opportunity. So she became a really good friend of mine. And you know, I'm really glad to be a part of this podcast. It's something that I know she loves and she's wanted to do for a while. So I encouraged her and kept like, let's do it.
Yeah, and thank you for being here too. I know we tried to record last week, but something came up, and so like we're here today. And we were just together yesterday because I had a 90s themed birthday party too. So him and his siblings and along with other friends, they came by to join me, and it was so we're a little desvelados right now. So I'm a little desvelada. It's not the same anymore as you get older, but here we are, right? We gotta support this channel and keep recording episodes for you guys as well. So, all right. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. So, because this podcast is really about mental health and wellness and just life experiences in general. And if you've seen some of the past episodes, right, I always like to start off by asking my guest how they define mental health. So I'm really interested in knowing, what does mental health mean to you?
Well, to me, mental health wasn't really a thing of noticing until just recently, just after we went through the pandemic, as challenging it was for all of us. To me, I realized it and I started hearing more about it, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's what it means. So it's just, it depends, it varies by individual. To me, it just means you have to catch yourself and give yourself some more time for yourself. Being aware that there's challenges ahead of us every day on a daily basis, right? We have to make sure that we understand that we also come first over our jobs and sometimes even over our loved ones, unfortunately, because if we're depressed, if we're anxious, if something's going on with us personally, it's difficult for us to sometimes just like be able to, as an old school raised by old school parents, Mexican parents, none of them knew what this was. None of them know or understand what social awareness is, so social health and mental health and all that stuff. They don't understand it. So to me, we grow up as the machismo. Not really. My dad wasn't really a machista like some other parents or fathers. But to me, it was just more like, you gotta be tough. It's in one ways, you can't really show you're emotional as a man, That's what the world sees. As a man, you can't show your feelings, But, there's times where you just have to walk away from the world and do your own self, There's times where I myself have gone through a few situations where I'm just like, I just need to leave and walk away. and I've done, take to me what helps me is just take a drive around town.
Mhm.
Take drive somewhere by myself. I don't necessarily have to be with anybody, or just even just listen to music and just be in the relaxing mode that I need to be in.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Esteban. I think you touched on a good point too, because just a few days ago, I was talking to my mom after, my family was dealing with a pretty stressful situation, like a family situation. And she said something about mental health. She said, no, like I have to be strong, right? Like what good is it for me to just stop and cry? And I
Yeah.
said, okay, mom, but like sometimes you have to do that. You have to
Hmm.
just stop and like just feel your feelings too, right? Because otherwise you just start ending, you suppress them, you hold
Yeah.
them all in, you internalize them too. But in her mind, like crying is a sign of weakness too,
Yeah.
right? Or being weak minded as well. But I think now there's more mental health awareness, and so I'm glad that you're speaking about your experience as well, because it happens to all of us, right? It's
Yeah.
something normal. It's part of life as well. And then you also talked a little bit about how you take care of yourself too. And I know you like to go on drives a lot, right? You've said that you play music loud and
Yeah,
yeah.
and to me before, like that was a way of distraction. I just get in my vehicle and go for a drive anywhere and everywhere. And I would have my music to the loudest I could. I've had multiple tickets on having just loud
Oh,
music. So
yeah.
unfortunately though, that kind of phases out a little bit too. You just get tired of having to pay the fines and whatnot,
Yeah.
and sometimes you just currently my vehicle is not suitable for a sound system
Yeah.
as I wish I would have or I
Yeah.
did have, and I actually just got rid of it yesterday.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's just to me it's just like just music itself. Music to me has been soothing, and
Hmm.
it's always been a passion of mine. And that's one thing that I could always go back to and fall back on whenever I have situations. Just listen to music, tune out the world, and then just do yourself.
Hmm.
That's been my coping mechanism.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I love that. Yeah. Music is just good for the soul, right? It's like
yeah,
therapy for the soul. So, all right. So for today's episode, we are going to get a little into about peer pressures in our early, you know, teenagehood, I guess you can say, right? When we're adolescents as well. So we're gonna go back to like middle school years, right? So this was a while back for me personally. I know Esteban's younger than me, so
it's only a few
um,
years.
just a few years, yeah. So we're gonna talk and explore a little bit about peer pressures that we face as teenagers as well. And I think we've all, encountered them as well. So just to start off, Esteban, how would you describe your teenage years?
Challenging. They're
Mm,
really challenging.
mm-hmm.
Growing up, obviously, middle school, I think to me in personal has been, I want to say probably like the roughest time of your life because you're bound to either go one way or another. As we all know in our communities, how gang influences occur. You just accidentally fall into the wrong crowd, or you choosingly fall into the wrong crowd.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to be smarter and you have to open up your eyes on how it works. To me, it was just that, peer pressure, the individuals would sometimes be like, oh, come and hang out, we're hanging out over here, whatever, right? But you never knew what they were doing there. So it
Mm-hmm.
was always like, okay, let's go figure it out. Let's go see what this fuss is all about. Everybody's headed this way, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, I'm hanging out with everybody. And then you're just there and you're just like, oh, this is what you guys are doing? All right, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then you go to a different route. You go and you're like, oh, this is. I mean, it just depends on the crowd you follow. The crowd you follow could change your life a lot. You could either, like I said, head into the wrong route or head the right route.
Mm-hmm.
For me, middle school years were like the hardest for me because, like I said, I chose the wrong path for a while. And then eventually I managed, or I got myself away from it without, any incidents and anything like that major for myself. I just needed to make sure that I stay concentrated on something that I enjoyed the most. Luckily for me, my brother was able to get me to join football and accept me to play football because at the time it was just my dad and him currently providing income for the house. since my older sibling and my sister were both out at UCLA. So for me, it was just the four of us living for together for like what 3-4 years that we
Mm-hmm.
were at home.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much high school, me and him got really close to each other to till now. And
Mm-hmm.
if it wasn't for him, I think I probably would. I don't know what I would be right now. It
Yeah.
was challenging.
Yeah. So it sounds like your brother played a big role in kind of helping you navigate towards a different
Yeah,
path, right? Because you did experience challenges and you did experience maybe peer pressure as
yeah,
well, or being introduced to maybe new things, right? And a lot of the times
definitely.
in middle school and high school, it's when we start getting introduced to drugs, to
Yeah.
alcohol, right, and to
Hmm.
partying and all that too. And middle school itself is it's that age is just very tough, right? Because
Yeah,
that's the age that we're trying to discover who we are as a person,
exactly.
right? And that forming our identity as well. So, um, why do you think why do you think it's hard for a lot of teenagers, even then and now, to just say no to some of those peer pressures? What do you think gets in the way?
Like you said, just the trying to discover ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
the fitting in plays a huge role into it.
Yeah.
You see little Johnny hanging out with little Tommy, and they're out there just hanging out, and everybody's all over little Tommy and little Johnny, and you're just like, oh man, I just want to hang out with them.
Mm-hmm.
The cool kids or whatever.
Yeah.
So you want to fit in at one point, but then you see the stuff and their characteristics and the things that they tend to do. So it's just like you start questioning it after a while, especially when you're face or put in situations where you're just like, I don't think I want to follow that route. I don't think I want to be
Mm-hmm.
there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Over where you're at, where you're hanging out with just your close friends, your close buddies, and you guys are just BSing, making fun of them sometimes too. But
Mm-hmm.
then here you go trying to just follow them as well. So
Yeah.
it just depends. Like I say, it family has a lot to do with it too. Me growing up, seeing my brothers, how many friends they had while they were playing basketball
Mm-hmm.
across the street in the park. You saw how well they were connected with their friends, and I kind of saw similarities, but the difference was that these guys were actually willing to or just hanging out, being athletic, having fun,
Mm-hmm.
over to somebody that are just like
Mm-hmm.
causing chaos or just
Yeah.
being menace to society, and it's just like you
Yeah.
know, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you too. I think I can relate to that as well. Regarding my own family as well. I remember like my younger brother playing sports as well, and that kept him really busy too. So I'm
yeah,
wondering, it sounds like for you, like football, you said, right? You
yeah.
started doing football as well. How did that help you? What did that help you with?
I was staying home. I was staying late too in school practicing. We wouldn't get out of practice till sometimes 5:30 or so. Some of us actually had the opportunity of hitting the gym and going
Mm,
in there and working out after
mm-hmm,
practice. Even just sometimes some of the coaches would allow you to go into the recovery bathtub right there for us to just
mm,
relax our body after sometimes a tough day of practice or whatnot.
yeah,
And just then getting home and then having to do homework, so you really didn't have the time to
yeah,
go out and be stupid,
yeah.
So
To
I
do this
mean,
madre, right?
yeah. So to me, like I think that was like the best thing. Even though I still, once football season was over, it was different for me because once the season was over, well, then I really had much to do,
Yeah,
and it'd be back to the same old roots again.
yeah.
But eventually, I walked away from having to be there. I some of my teammates, we would just be like BSing,
Mm-hmm.
finding areas or places to hang out with
Yeah,
without having to deal with any stupidity.
right. Yeah.
And eventually, like you just what's the purpose? You have to
Mm-hmm.
find those close friends that are able to stick around with you and divert you from situations like that too, because um, they can see just
Yeah,
being there without hanging out with you, even if they're your close friends, but you guys are still hanging out
right.
with the wrong crowd, so it
Yeah,
doesn't make no difference.
exactly.
So you just have to find like the right people for you to be
Mm-hmm.
able to continue on with life and make better choices, especially.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree. Yeah. And so when we're that age too, we spend most of our time hanging out with friends, right?
Yeah.
We start kind of separating ourselves from our family, from our parents, and
Hmm.
now it's like, no, I want to be with my friends. So what they do is going to influence us a lot too, right?
Yeah.
And so, and sometimes that's what really informs your decisions as well. Do you think, though, it's important when you're a teenager to also be exposed to those kind of things as well? Do you feel like it's necessary?
I want to say so, because if you're not exposed then and able to adapt yourself away from it, then as you get older, it might be a harder challenge.
Yeah.
Just because you're like, oh, well, I didn't get to explore this since I was younger.
Yeah.
And you just want to keep on doing it and doing it. And so you're just like, oh, shit, I'm not doing it properly, or life is wrong now.
Right. Yeah.
So,
I've seen that too. I've seen that when people become adults and that didn't really get to experience like going to parties or going to clubs or drinking or experiencing with some drugs, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not talking about hard drugs. I'm really talking about marijuana. That's it, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, it varies on individuals. Yeah, because I mean, I've been exposed to multiple drugs. Unfortunately, me myself, I've only consumed marijuana myself.
Yeah.
But either way, like you still get to see. You still get at parties, like you said, at parties you get to see multiple things.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen from cocaine to pills to heroin and meth and stuff like that. So you just get to see a lot of the stuff that you're just like, oh crap, you know.
Yeah.
And as tempting as some people might have it, like to me, I've never been tempted to do any of those things. Like you could just see after watching videos, like even movies. I mean, I know movies are exaggerated, but a lot of the times too, you get to see some of the movies like how they're supposed to react to certain things. There's certain drugs, so you're just like, yeah, I'm cool off of that.
I don't experience that.
Yeah, I'd rather just be low and mellow, or you know, just be louder than I normally am, because you know that's sometimes what alcohol tends to do to some people. Or some people just, I mean, it depends. It depends on what how you react with certain things, like especially with alcohol or even marijuana. But for me, it's just like, I'd rather just not even give it a try. It's I did what I did, and that was it.
Yeah. And you did what you feel comfortable with at that point, right? And now it's out of your system. You experienced that, and now you're not curious as an adult because you went through that. Versus people that don't go through that, sometimes they become curious later on in life, right? And they're like, well, I didn't get to experience any of that, so they want to kind of relive their childhood or their teenage years now as an adult, and sometimes it doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
Because now we have families, we have responsibilities, and other priorities. But
it's like eventually when you look at your paycheck at the end of the day, or at your bank account at the end of the day after you've experienced and going through all that, you're just like, oh shit. Did that really happen?
Yeah, I know exactly. Like, damn it, huh?
Yeah.
Wish I could go back, but yeah, that's part of your experience too. So, I've always been curious too. So I'm gonna ask you this. So you have 3 siblings, right? And I have 4 siblings, so it's 5 of us, and you guys are 4 of you guys. But generally speaking, right, in households, we grew up with our siblings. And I'm talking about households where, you know, our parents are together, you know, they raise us, we live in the same household as well. So we kind of grow up with the same childhood. But what do you think happens as adults where it's like suddenly now we're all different people and we all have different perspectives, right? So for example, like my oldest brother, you know, he's going through a lot of challenges right now when it comes to alcohol as well. And I have a brother here who like drinks alcohol, and like the next day he doesn't feel well, and so he's like, I'm gonna stop drinking, like I don't want to drink anymore, right? So completely different, right? So one that just can't stop, and the other one's like, I'm gonna stop right away. We grew up in the same environment, we grew up in the same household, but what do you think happens there? Why do you think, you know, we grow up with different perspectives and different personalities? What shapes that? What do you think?
I think it has to do a lot with our friendships. Of just the individuals that were around. You know, 2 of my siblings are generally always hanging out with us as well. So you know, we have a lot of the same mindset in regards to a lot of things. You know, we might disagree on a few things or whatnot, but it's still the majority of the things are similar. It's kind of difficult to say. I want to say it's mainly like on the friendship level, like who you're hanging around with. I, like you said, I am, I guess you could say, the alcoholic in the family, because I'm the one that like usually tends to drink a little bit more than my other siblings. Don't get me wrong, my older brother it's right next to me right there when it comes to it. But it's just I guess it just depends on the way you see certain things too.
Yeah.
Your vision of certain how like my sister, she hates having to wake up with the slightest
Yeah.
hangover whatsoever.
I know, yeah.
So
she
she's
doesn't
not.
want to drink, right?
Yeah, she's not one to drink.
Yeah.
And my other brother doesn't drink at all. It's rare when he ever has like a drink of wine or a daiquiri or even a shot of tequila or even a beer. Sometimes it's occasionally. It's like maybe once every year or so, and yeah, he'll take a zip out of whatever we're drinking and whatnot, but it's just not something in his in his daily thing,
Yeah. It's not something he enjoys doing.
Yeah, no. To me, I'm not the type of person that's gonna sit there and have a beer by himself. I'm not. I'm a social drinker, pretty much. Like if we're out socially, that's the only way that I'll really enjoy myself with a beverage. But when I'm at home by myself, it's a rarity when I'm drinking alone. Unless I'm watching like a football game, and even then I'll just drink a beer and I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'll buy a bill of 12 pack or a 24 pack or whatever, and the next thing it's like I'm only having one beer.
Yeah.
It's like, crap. But to me, it's just, I guess it depends. Our parents also like they just they give you certain aspects of life and stuff like that the way they grew up, and they try to make sure that you follow it as best as you can. But after a certain point, they're just like, well, I can't really put an example on some of these things because they, my dad used to love to drink too, so unfortunately.
Yeah.
But it's kind of different. It's kind of that's kind of like a difficult question. Kind of like how to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's.
Well, I think you answered it well, though. I think I think the same thing too. I think a lot of it has to do with the friends that you grow up with, right? The friends that you surround yourself with. For me, for example, a lot of the friends that I used to hang out with in high school, they all had the goal of going to college, right?
Yeah.
So I knew myself that I was like, okay, well then I need to go to college too. Had I not hung out with friends that wanted to go to college, I probably wouldn't have gone to college, right? So yeah, they highly influence you as well. So if you're constantly exposed to alcohol and drugs, then more than likely you're also gonna end up doing the same thing too.
And now that you mentioned that, you make a good point, because like a lot of my friends when we first when I was in high school, the majority of them, they've somewhat been on and off from college, and some of them haven't really finalized their at least their masters and stuff like that. But my real close friend, that guy doesn't even have a GED, Shout outs to him though. But he has a real he has a trade job pretty much. He gets paid really well. Guy gets paid better than I do, and I have at least my high school diploma, So it's like, and not knocking anybody that doesn't have a high school diploma or does have a high school diploma or whatever. It just depends on on the career that you choose and how to
The ganas too, right?
Yeah, because that guy has always been, ever since I've known him, he's always been he was working in the summers and all that, and he works on cars left and right, so pretty sure if I call him right now, he'd probably be working in a car. But it's just that, like how
the passion, how passionate you are about certain thing.
Exactly. And I think to him, he's just been like, for him, he's always interested in working on cars and doing all that stuff, and like that's the way I guess he's gotten himself around, like to just getting to where his jobs are at, where like he's always pushing, he's always working, and it's like you can't never find that guy sitting down, and it's crazy. It's pretty cool with how he's just like, next thing you know, you're like, oh wait, where are you at? Oh, I'm getting shipped out to Maryland, or I'm getting shipped out to this place, so I had to go set up over here, and that's by the company, So that's like they really value him where he's at. So it's like
they invest in him, huh?
Yeah, so that's big shout outs to people that that have gone to trade school, that have gone to get college degrees and stuff like that, because I mean, look at getting your job or what you want in life. So that's pretty cool, following the dreams. And to me, I never had a goal. I really didn't. My goal was shut down right after community college. My goal was to,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I want to play football. Yeah, no. Once you get to the higher level, after you get out of high school, mind you, I've never been athletic, but you know, you don't have to be completely athletic when it comes to being part of a sport. You have to also be smart as well. You know, and that's a big thing. So I think that is just I guess surrounding yourself with the people that are
Mm-hmm.
there. You know, once I realized that football wasn't for me, I just didn't really have much of a choice just to figure out from jumping from job to job for a while, and then
Mm-hmm.
eventually landing into two positions. One where I was released from, and now one that I'm currently for a district that is I've been there now for years. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, you have been there for a while now, right? And I think you really like being there now too. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he's a union president now as well, so he's becoming very involved as well in the political side of things as
Yeah.
well, right? Which isn't always so pretty, but I think you and your family have always been really strong advocates as well, and you want good things for the community as well because this is where you guys grew up.
Yeah.
So I've always appreciated that about you guys. Um, all right. So, my last question for you is this. Now that we've talked a little bit about some of your past experiences, right? And you've had a lot of experiences, and it shows, right? Just based on what you told me and just based on the other things that I know about you as well.
Yeah.
Um, what do you think you would tell your younger self now with the things that you have learned with your experiences? Right now that you're an adult, like what would you tell your younger self? Would you do things differently, or would everything still be the same?
There's a few things that I would do differently. Definitely. Definitely. I mean, it's kind of it's interesting because with making some hard life choices gets you um, to places where you're currently at, and I cannot. Even though I've gone through a few things, you know, I cannot completely say that I would choose a different path. I would have loved to know what I could have been capable of had I been able to stick to in school and finalize my education. That was one of our things that my dad always listened to us, making sure that
Mm-hmm.
we were always better than them. And you know, my mom and my dad never really got. I think my dad was the highest that he got was third grade, and back in Mexico. So me just completing high school was was more than above and beyond than what he had
Mm-hmm.
done.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, when your brother puts a high standard for education, it's kind of difficult for me, especially. Like I wasn't always been the person to how can I put it? I never really enjoyed. It's funny. I never really enjoyed school, even though I work for the school now. But you know, it's never been a thing of mine. Like, there's only certain topics that I could or subjects that I could really stay focused on and continue with, and say, oh, I got this.
Mm-hmm.
But math wasn't one of my stronger subjects, and neither was science. So it's like to me, it's like it's part of the curriculum that we have to unfortunately go through. But like for him, he put the highest level of like, okay, he went through UCLA, he has his masters and all that, and I think
Mm-hmm.
he just I don't know what else he was trying to do. And and then right behind there is my sister, and
Mm-hmm.
then my other brother, he got his AA, and he's just like, I'm done, you
Mm-hmm.
know. To me, I just did a semester and a half at Harnell, and that was it. I
Mm-hmm.
just did not. I didn't want to continue. I just didn't feel like it was for me.
Yeah.
But you think about it like I said, my dad always wanted us to be better than him. Now it's like, how can you put that example to your children? You just
Mm-hmm.
completed high school. I want better for you. Not necessarily, like I said, and like not to say anything against. This is one of the things that I've been fighting with everybody about. Well, not fighting, but arguing about was like trade school over a career. Um, not everything is has to go through a degree. You don't have to
Mm-hmm.
necessarily become go through college to become an electrician.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
electricians get paid sometimes more than some of their teachers, unfortunately.
Yeah,
So
that's true. Welders, all
yeah,
that.
so there's like a lot of trades out there that are
Mm-hmm.
still there for our people, for our kids, for our future, um, to explore other than just just the regular career path of going to college. But back to your question, I think I would have loved to have at least done better in high school, to have at least seen what I was capable of going to college and
Mm,
see where I would have been now. You know,
yeah.
that probably that's the only thing that I like. Damn it, I wish I could go back and do that.
Yeah.
You know, I was never a person to be in class and be like, oh, I want to do this or I want to do that. I want to learn about this. One subject that always interested me was
Mm,
civics and history. So, and that's one of the things that I come now I'm completely passionate about, even though I
yeah.
don't have, a degree or anything like that into it. But, that's one of the things that's one of the reasons I think that I also became part of the union.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Knowing like your rights, your civil rights and all that stuff, knowing how to handle those situations too.
Yeah.
And just learning history of how our union was built as far as classified employees, as far as certified employees, as far as
Mm,
just employees in general,
mm-hmm.
Cesar Chavez is one of my biggest heroes as far as like, civil rights movements and stuff like that. So it just becomes to that, like, that was one of my things. Like I would probably have gone into like either civics
Yeah.
or
Like
history.
political science,
Yeah.
history. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I say this, right? Like, if that's something that you still want to explore and navigate, like, it's never too late, right?
No, it's
It's
not.
never too late. But yeah, right. Even though right now maybe you're not right there, you're still finding ways to kind of channel that passion of yours
Yeah.
that you have for civics, right? And that's by joining your union
Yeah.
and becoming a president, right? Did you
Yeah.
ever think you were gonna do this?
No, I honestly didn't. That's a pretty good question because I didn't plan to become president anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
I came in. I mean, I was part of the union since I became an employee, and then uh, one thing led to me being more involved and paying attention to what was going on behind the scenes and stuff. And so I decided, hey, you know what? Let me run for union, and I was the treasurer for a year, and then next thing you know, it's like our president, she decided to step away or step down from her position, and she's like, why don't you run for it? And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not ready. And next thing you know, I get nominated for the position. I'm like, crap, wasn't ready for
I'm
this.
not prepared for this.
No, I wasn't. I really wasn't. I came in there with no experience on it whatsoever. But a lot of the things that you've gone through already in life, like I said, is just leads you to being understanding of some of the things that are currently occurring. Um, and so I took one class actually one session one session into becoming a part or how to lead, and it's not that easy. They could give you as many sessions or whatever as classes as you can,
Yeah.
and every day everything is a different challenge, and you learn that as you go day by day. So
Yeah, yeah, you're learning a lot too. So there you have it, guys. I mean, I want to thank you, friend. That's what we call each other, a nickname for each other. But I want to thank you for sharing that. I think I learned a little bit more about you right now too, in just like these past few minutes that we've been sitting down talking to each other. But yeah, Stevan, he does a lot too, right? So like he works, he's part of the union. He just got his bartending certification
okay.
too. So like I'm really trying to encourage him to start maybe like his own little business as well. So maybe you didn't end up in the path that you thought you were going to be in, but you're in the best path for yourself right now too.
Yeah.
And I know you're doing incredibly good things, and I'm very proud of you too. And I'm really proud of the friendship that we've had too for all these past years, as well as his siblings as well. So there you have it, guys. I think that's it for today. Hopefully we can bring it back again next time, talk about a different topic as well, and
Yeah.
we'll see you guys until next time.